How's it going, YouTube? Right, we're back on the camper again today. We've got a little job here to do on the bench. We'll be fitting a table and a table leg in the camper. So it's not the biggest job in the world, but we need to have a look at it because it's quite a posh little leg, this, and I've made a nice table for it as well. But before we do this, let's have a quick look in the camper because I've made the old seating unit. We've not had a proper look at that, I don't think, so let's have a quick look at that. Right, there's the table and the leg. We'll have a look at that in a second. So let's go and have a look in the camper. I'm not sure if we've actually had a proper look at this yet. When I made this, I didn't actually video making it at all. I just did this as kind of a bit of relaxing time one weekend, and I think it's kind of turned out all right. We'll have a look underneath in a minute and see how I all made it up. But if we turn the lights on, as you can see, we've got a posh bit of lighting to match everything else that's around the camper as well, the same as all the lighting under there. We'll have a look at that in a second, how I did it. But what I've done is you've got the driver's seat there and the passenger seat here. These are a bit higher at the minute. Once the cushions are on there, it'll level out a bit more. These are still a bit high. What I might eventually do is change these bases for the low profile ones, because I think they'll drop it like 40 mil. Once it's dropped 40 mil, it'll probably be about thereabouts to make it all level all the way across. But what my intention is with this is to have a cushion there, and then one across the back that way, one across the back that way. And it'd be nice if this one at the back, I can get it so it curves to make it more like a bit of a corner sofa. I wanted to make it so you could stretch your feet out across there and make it really nice and comfy. On this side, obviously we've got this bit that pulls up, so that can be like a bit of a table for there. It's not sticking right over, but it's close enough to make it kind of useful. You can actually pull the seat forward, which will bring you underneath it a bit more anyway. That's the table for that chair there, if that's ever needed. More than anything, that's an extension to the worktop. But what we need is we need a table here, so this is what we're going to fit today. But this seating, let's have a quick look and see what I've done to it here. Right, so if I open this up, and I've got this one here that opens up as well. That one there, I didn't make it open up because under there we're probably going to have the water heater anyway. But I made this one open up so you can lift up the cushion and open this one up and put a few bits in here if you need to. And the same with this one. This is all going to be storage. Up the back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover that up eventually so it looks a bit more finished than what it does now, because I don't like leaving anything like that. But if we have a look where these lights are, these have worked out really well actually, because what I've done is I've made a frame here out of 2x1 that's slightly in all the way round than the main frame, which is the legs sticking up. If we have a look down here as well, look, you can see there I've set it back about 10 millimeters, and I've done that all the way around. And then what that's given me is, I don't know if we can see it properly, let's see if my camera will let me actually see that. But what that's given us is like a little bit of a ledge underneath that all the way around. I've just rounded that off there so we could stick this LED strip underneath. So it gives us a bit of lighting that's coming out from there. To make this seat as lightweight as I possibly could, I've used quite heavy framework there so it doesn't break anywhere. And then what I've done is this front, this is literally just made out of 5.5 mil ply. So this is really lightweight ply over it. And it's actually worked out quite good, because what it's left there is kind of a little bit of a gap between this 2x1 there and that 5 mil, and then the lights coming through. So I've kind of inadvertently lit it all up on the inside as well, so it's kind of like a little bit of storage. But that's how I've made it, and I've made it like that to make it as lightweight as possible. So this is 5 mil ply. Obviously this on the top, this is 12 mil because I want it to be pretty strong to take your weight, and I've split it across like this into a few different bits just to make sure it's still strong enough. So this bit here, this is the biggest one, and this is plenty strong enough because we've got the supports going all the way around the edge. And then I've just finished it off with a little bit of trim here on the side and all the way around the top, just to make it look a little bit more finished. And then around the front, as you can see there, we've got the little stick-on trim all the way around, and I've rounded off these edges. And the same over here as well. So when the cushions are on, it should kind of look quite nice actually. Down here as well, what I've done is I've fitted a 240 socket. This is off the inverter, and then just there we've got a double USB socket as well. And I've tried to hide the wiring as much as I've could, so I've fit these little back things on the socket there, because obviously you don't want the 240 where you can stick your fingers in it, but I've used the same on the USB as well, just to make it a bit nicer. and then I've got some trunking going across there, and then the wires hid down that back there, so the wire's nice and tidy and out of the way. So there's the seating. Right, so I think the next thing we need to do is let's go and have a look at this table I've made. I made it myself because this is obviously the oak worktop that we've got. This is a 27mm worktop. Anybody that's watched this kitchen unit should know. You can see how thick it is there, and I wanted the table to be matching, but obviously because this is 27mm oak, piece of oak that big is not the lightest thing in the world to make a table out of. So I've done a little bit of work on it. Let's go and have a look. Right, so there's my table. This is what I'm going to use. I've made it out of a bit of offcut worktop. It was actually that bit that I cocked up at the beginning. So this is an offcut from that. Like I said, 500 by 600mm, but what I've done to make it lighter, this is a lot thinner than what it was, is what I did was I've got the big DeWalt router out of there, and I used one of the routing tools, and I literally spent hours taking that down by half the thickness. I routed out the complete back of this table to take it down to half the thickness. It took me absolutely hours to do it. It would have been quicker to take it somewhere else and get somebody else to do it, but I did it myself with that, and I was like a DIY milling machine doing it, but I managed to do it. The only thing with that is obviously because this oak worktop is literally just planks stuck together, that once it got down a little bit thin, it started to get a bit weak and move. So how I got around that was on the back, I got some 5.5mm plywood, I stuck it on, I glued it onto the worktop, let it go off, and then what I did is I got some of the usual blue vinyl wrap that we've been using everywhere else, I wrapped it, and then I used the router again to take a chamfer off the edge all the way around, and it's a bit white and black there where that glue is, but to be honest, it doesn't look too bad. It makes it look a bit more like an actual proper thing, rather than just a bit of wood. And then what I did at the front here is I put a little 45-degree chamfer on it there with a router, rounded off these edges a little bit so they're not all pointy, and then I've used this worktop oil, the same as what I used on the worktop in there, and this has had about 5 coats, leaving it for 24 hours in between each coat. And now it's pretty nice and smooth, and it should match the worktop quite nicely. I've not actually had it inside. It looks the same colour for here. So there's the table. That's my DIY oak table that's a lot lighter than what it used to be because of the thickness now. Right, to complement that, I've gone for a Lagun table leg. What I've done is I've gone for an original one. I know you can get the ones off of Amazon that are like the copies, but to be honest, with the amount of money I've spent on the rest of that, I might as well put an original in it for the extra money this one cost. I think they're about £50 or £60 more for the original one. I would have liked the black one, to be honest, but I was far too tight to buy that, so I just bought the silver one. Let's have a quick look, see how it comes. Right, so opening it up, this is exactly how it comes. It just comes like this. It is kind of fastened together how it would be. So you've got the table leg. Let me just pick you up so you can see. We've got the table leg, the cross bit, and the bit that goes on underneath table itself. In here we've got the bracket that will fit to the chair. There's a couple of little spacers with the look of it there. We'll have a look at all that in a second when we go to fit it. And then we've got a backing bit there, which I'm assuming is to put on the back for when it's too thin, just to give it a bit more strength. We will probably need something like that because, like I said, it's only 5mm ply that's in there. And then just here we've got some instructions. Oh, those spacers that you get, you can see, look, they're chamfered spacers, so if we're going at an angle or something like that, that's there to straighten it up. We should be straight, so we shouldn't need those. So this silver bracket here literally should be bolted straight onto that seating, but we will need something on the back of it, like this. Like I said, because we're only 5mm ply. Right, so how this actually comes and works, let me see if I can put you down. Let's just pull that off a second, and we'll unslide this. Right, so what we get is we get the table leg itself. This sits upright, this slides onto here, and then on the top of this, on this post here, this one will sit on it, cross like that. You get this one sitting on there, and then on the top of that, this one screws to the table, and then this one will go into the top of it there. We'll have a look once it's all in. If they're in an awkward place and you can't turn it around anymore because it's hitting something, these kind of ratchet. So what you do is you just pull the handle out. You can press your thumb on there and then pull the handle out, and it lets you turn it, let go, and then you can get some more. Turn it again back and get some more. So it's like a kind of a ratchety handle that's spring loaded. These are supposed to be really good quality. So I think the first thing we need to do is, I'm not going to put the table on it yet, because what I might do is I might offset the table. So this is not going to be in the center. I want this table slightly offset to one side. I'll show you why when we're actually in the van. Let's get all this, put it all together, and let's take it in the van and see what sort of position we're going to fit it. Right, to get it where I need it to be, so it actually reaches everything that I want it to reach, I need to mount it here, really, on the front of this chair leg here, and then it'll swing round, and then the table will serve both these chairs here, or I can swing it round this way, and then it'll do this little corner sofa here. So that's the place I need to put it. There is a little bit of an issue though, because of how I've made the chair. Let's have a look. Under this lid, I've taken this lid, so this is overlapping quite a bit, and what it's doing is it's not allowing that to get close enough to bolt it on. So what I need to do is, just round the back there, I need to take a little notch out of this lid for this to fit into, and then it'll bend around the cushion. When the cushion's there, that'll be perfectly fine. And then the wood, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit that on the back, but what I'm actually going to do first is I'm going to put some little, oops, I'm losing the camera, it's going all sorts of funny angles, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some little pocket holes in it, so I can screw it into this side and into this top, just to give it a little bit more strength. So I'm going to do that now as well. So what I'll do is I'll get this top bit here just notched out and done, just so it fits around there. I'm going to get the table leg bolted onto there with the little bit on the back, and let's come back when it's bolted on, and then we'll figure out where to fit the table. So I'll see you back here in a second when this is bolted. Right, there we are, that's that bolted on now. You can see there around the back, just where I've taken that little bit of an indentation out there, just so it goes around there, and that's missing now. If I just move this stuff out of the way a second, lift this up. If we have a quick look inside, you can see the backing plate there holding it on, and what I've done is I've pocket screwed it there and there. I've pocket screwed at the top as well, so it's fastened into this, and now that's making it absolutely solid. It's not going anywhere, and the weight's on these strengthened bits here rather than this little bit of plywood. So that's perfectly fine, and that's sorted out. If I stand back and have a look, what I can do is I can move it into the middle of there, so that can be like the table for both of those two chairs. It is a little bit low, there is some room for movement to lift it up, and I think once I've put the lower seat bases on both these chairs and dropped them 40mm as well, that'll be plenty. But what you can see is this is slightly offset, so I think the table, I'm going to have to take it off centre, and it'd be nice to get it so it's centred across both of these chairs if that's what I want. And also going around this side, if I move that there, you can see if I put it out here and it's off-centered across to one side, and that makes it so the table will perfectly cover centrally this seating area here. So what I want to do is I want to get it so it's kind of central to this, but offset on there. Once it's offset, you can turn it around and do what you want. So if I want it to be just for this seat here, you can put it like that and offset it, and then it'll be central to this seat here. So if you wanted to use it for the computer or anything. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this top bit now, and I'm going to screw this onto the bottom of that table. Let's get the table on. I'll have a quick hoover up and give it a bit of a clean round here, and then let's see what it looks like. There it is, that's that in, and the colour of this matches that. Absolutely perfect look. So it really matches in with the vehicle. I was going to get like a pre-made table, but I didn't want it to be different to this. I thought looking like this looks a lot nicer, and at least I've managed to keep the weight down by taking half the thickness off of that oak. So that's a lot better. It's not heavy at all now. But like I said, if we have a look underneath, what I've done is I've offset mounted it just like that. So I've screwed it in more at one side than the other. And then what that does is that gives me options. So like that, it's kind of like a table set right in the middle of everything, which works out quite nice. You can even pull it right round just like that, look, and it's kind of like a table for everybody. If I turn it round 90 degrees like that, what you can see is no matter where you sit, this is kind of like a decent size for everything. And then we can move it around. Once we've got a bit more height, obviously, then it can be a nice table for a computer or something like that. If you're working there, you can sit there, put your legs up nice and straight and pull it over in front of yourself. And give you a nice workspace for your computer and everything else if that's what you're wanting to do. And I think being the original Lagun, you can feel how smooth it is actually. It actually feels really nice to move it around. And then to pack the chair away, I can either pull the whole thing out, and I've not decided yet. I did say at the beginning of the build that I was going to make this bit here, box this out, so the table legs would fit in there if I wanted. I don't know if I'm going to do that. That literally all clips together on the back of this, and then I could put it up there out of the way if that's what I wanted. Or to be honest, for traveling, I can literally just push it back like that, out of the way, lock the legs off, and that will be perfectly fine where it is there. It's out of the way. So I think that's worked out quite nice actually, and that's another job done. I just need to get all these cushions and everything all upholstered, ready to get that bit completely finished. Right, this is future me. This is about 2 months later, and there's a little bit of an issue with the table. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's a bit of a banana. You see there how it's curving? That's because now we've come out of summer, we're well into autumn, and obviously what's happened here is this has swollen up. Underneath I had the plywood. Plywood doesn't swell up the same as what this does, so what it's done is it's held it tight at the bottom. The top's swollen up, so it's created a bit of a banana. Let me see if I can get a better angle so you can see it. There you are. You can see our bit of a banana shaped table. To be honest, for me, it's not the end of the world. I'll find out once I start using it actually properly, but that's what's happened when you're not a carpenter and you don't know really what you're doing with the wood. Same over here actually on the worktop. There you are, look, that doesn't go in the sink quite fully anymore because this has swollen up a bit now since summer. So I'm going to have to take a little bit off of that just to get it there. All the worktop and everything's perfectly fine because that's swollen up, but there's not really got anything counteracting it, so that's fine. And obviously this sink is yet to be fastened because I've not done the plumbing yet anyway, so that'll be fastened down later. So a bit of a whoopsie with the table, and I bet you actual carpenters out there saw that coming. Right, that was either a really quick video or a really boring video, but I hope it was all right and I hope you enjoyed it either way. Don't forget to subscribe to see more of this build. We've got loads more to do yet. Like the video if you liked it. Comment below anything you want to comment. I do like reading all your comments, and I will catch you again in another video. Cheers.